Have you ever seen how absurd these fashion shows are and wondered, how do people make money from this? Oversized, foamy fabric snakes around the model's body. The oddly shaped shoulders, cartoonishly large, it's obviously not attractive. The model walks covered in a cocoon of creased brown fabric from neck to knees, it's not remotely practical. Her hair looks magical and grayed, looking like a parody of Einstein. This was on the runway of Paris Fashion Week. The pinnacle of fashion. Bizarre, outlandish, and completely unsellable. This is not a charity event. The purpose of this event is to ultimately make money. Fashion is a force. It demands to be noticed. And even with constant head-scratching designs and puzzling runway clothes, somehow there are people who will watch this and cheer it like a last-second game-winning field goal in a Super Bowl. Apparently, all fashion designers live by the saying, beautiful is boring. And so when beauty is thrown aside, what do you have left? This, and well, also this. And this looks like a GIMP parade. Some call it weird, some call it avant-garde, and some other fancy words. But no one would call it something they would love to wear or consider buying. As confusing as the clothes are themselves, the business strategy might be even more puzzling. Why show something no one wants to buy? Isn't it the most basic principle of all business practices to sell something that people want to buy? Let alone these outfits that actually look embarrassingly bad. Obviously, there must be some strategy behind all of this. Fashion brands, when displaying this strange fashion, are actually using it as a marketing tactic. They want people to freak out and turn heads every time a model walks out. Here's how the formula works. Get attention with these strange gimmicky outfits. Then redirect it to things that people actually want to buy. You might not recall what the YSL fashion runway displayed. It's a nice dress, but it's still just a dress. But you will never forget Doja Cat with red crystals covering every inch of her skin, or Kylie Jenner wearing a life-sized realistic lion head on the Schiaparelli 2023 show. Or this walking down the runway. The 2023 runway was by all accounts a marketing success. It blew up on Twitter, people talking, joking, and sharing, and it got the name of the brand out there. This also caused the largest spike in Google searches for Schiaparelli ever. Schiaparelli's brilliant marketing strategy also resulted in a controversy created around some of its designs, which use a fake lion head as an accessory to the dresses. It was a surrealist take on animals being sacrificed for the sake of fashion. People were torn. Some applauded the skill of the designer who handmade a life-sized lion that looks so convincingly real. Others wanted the designer to burn the collection down, said that it reduces animals to trivial accessories. The controversy raged on. This is exactly what brands want. In this fast-paced age with a 2-second attention frame, most things blur and look the same. Attention is easy to come, easy to go. But if you can create a visual that stops people's thumbs from scrolling, you have them in your grip. And if you can make people write long, critical tweets about it, you have already won. But for that, every brand must have some tricks up its sleeve. One of those tricks happens to be these over-the-top, ridiculous clothes that make people ask, but why? And the brand sticks in the back of their mind. These businesses want you to link this weirdness to their name. They want people to always expect something unpredictable, something weird, but also something intriguing. They know they're doing something right when their reputation precedes them. And yet it may be losing its touch or simply expanding because we are seeing big name brands naming celebrities to be their senior staff to get publicity, such as Louis Vuitton hiring Pharrell as its creative director and Kanye West working with Balenciaga. Prior to this controversy, Balenciaga used this to sell their clothes. The top comment refers to how the models look like homeless heroin addicts, and it's hard to argue. If anything, it might be insulting to homeless heroin addicts. It even looks like some of the models are wearing mouth guards as if a runway is the same as a boxing match. Absolutely no one is watching this saying, oh, that looks amazing, I just need to look like that. But the insanity of it gets comments, gets people talking. The final runway model is dressed like a butcher. All of this was to build Balenciaga's brand identity. They wanted this to represent their brand for the year. One thing that keeps these brands up at night and haunts their dreams is a fear that is downright paralyzing, but also can very easily become their reality. That is the fear of being forgotten. Fading into irrelevance means these fashion brands go broke. They get replaced by some other brand that has a more loyal following, more interesting headlines, and more flashing cameras. Most people don't watch fashion runway shows the same way they watch a football match or a big TV show. These runway shows have to work extra hard to get attention and do all kinds of circus tricks to get your eyes on them, and then keep your eyes on them for as long as possible. They need to play with your emotions even if it's negative. so they try to tell stories. They try to be topical and feed into narratives. The journalists and celebrities who attend these fashion shows often also receive a document that talks about the designer's inspiration for each of these outfits. They need to create a spectacle to keep your attention. That is how a brand identity is built. And once one brand starts a chain reaction, the others must follow. Claw their way to the top and steal some attention for themselves. Make people curious, that's how they turn viewers into customers. The interesting thing is, even though ready-to-wear runway fashion shows are held during Fashion Week just as often, they are never covered by the media unless they use Bella Hadid or Kendall Jenner as a crutch to boost interest. After all, who wants to talk about denim and khakis when you can talk about this? It's not like anyone is going to actually buy a spray-on dress, but it helps them to create their brand identity. Media sites have a pretty important role to play, and the extreme side of fashion can also be linked to the media's need for clicks. The media will only really make the clothes the center of attention in their articles if the clothes can generate clicks. And the only way those clicks can be generated is if the brands create something so outrageous, something so strange and weird that you, as a viewer, have no choice but to click on the article, check out an Instagram post, watch a YouTube video, or stick around for the next segment on the TV news. There is a very important concept of the fashion cycle in the fashion industry. As over the top and outrageous as those pieces on the runway may be, certain elements of them will be incorporated into wearable clothes. And so these brands have to be ahead of the trend curve to catch on to fashion trends when they are just starting, and then release them once they start to go away. Though the runway shows would brag about their out-of-the-box creativity, fashion still conforms to ongoing trends. Fashion is about two things, art and sales. But one of these things is not like the other. You can sacrifice art for sales. You can't sacrifice sales for art. Fashion is cyclical, and oddly, what is seen as poor often becomes the new fashion trend. You see brands and models trying to look like a homeless person. Jeans with holes in them become a trend, but that wasn't trashy enough. Balenciaga made a name for themselves by being an exclusive brand that only the wealthy could afford, by selling limited edition clothes that literally look like they have not just been chucked out 6 months ago, but ripped to pieces by a dog in the process. There was even an established 20-year cycle in fashion, where every 20 years the fashionable pieces come back in style. Vice argues that not only that, but with social media, this has sped up to 10 years, and now it's even hard to tell what decade we are in when you walk along fashionable streets. Which has caused the fashion world to need to be more ridiculous to create a spectacle to get talked about. Runway shows are meant to be a spectacle, an enchanting, show-stopping event meant to keep your head turned toward the clothes. The only reason fashion journalists who attend the shows write about it is if they find it intriguing enough to be a good read. The only reason high-profile celebrities attend these shows is to bask in the glory of the public hype around it. One way to create a spectacle is to present the exact opposite of what is expected. If fashion is meant to be beautiful, make something ugly. If everything around you is sophisticated and elegant, make something tacky. If making clothes that fit makes sense, make something that doesn't. Social media sites are hard to break through, where beautiful people are a dime a dozen and everyone has their brand logo on a black t-shirt. So it takes something truly awful to break through the noise. There is a mystique around ugly clothes. They demand to be acknowledged. They also cause people to get genuinely enraged. But the more people get mad, the more people see it and are reminded of the brand. And that is what these runway shows want to do. Make you feel something even if it's anger, so the name of the brand will stay in the back of your mind. The specifics become muddled, but for some reason you remember that Balenciaga is for rich people even if it's to cosplay as being homeless.